And welcome to the latest and greatest from Step Brother Sports, part of the Hockey Podcast Network. You can listen to us anywhere where you find your podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, review, and all those other great engagement functions you can do for us. Would really appreciate it on any of the many platforms that we're now on. You can follow me, Chris Maz, on social media platforms at CFMAZ and Shawnee V at SV The Don NHL, and on YouTube at Step Brother Sports. And folks, it is July 1st, day one of NHL free agency. So Buffalo Sabres, they have not really done much to give hopes to their fans once again. Where to really begin? We have a returning guest to go over what has really gone down, not just for the Sabres ultimately, but for the NHL wider landscape as well. So you're going to recognize him from Sabres Twitter, making some proposed lineups and trades, as well as giving us some hope that we just like to just drink out of like a fire hose every now and then. But you also know him from his time from the Charging Buffalo. Please welcome back Joe Marino. Welcome back, Joe.
Yeah, welcome back.
Great to be back. Last time was a blast. Thanks for
back.
Of course. Man, long time coming, Joe.
Yes. But anyway, Joe, how are things? Anything new and exciting in your world at the moment? I think you talked a little bit about some things off camera, so feel free to share what's going on in your world that's non-hockey related.
Yeah, so I just started a new job with Dave and Adams. I've got a daily card show on Whatnot, selling some sports cards and stuff. So you're into that?
Oh yeah,
you can catch me there once, twice a day. Live on Whatnot.
That's awesome. You definitely see me on there, Joe. I'll be on there all the time. I am ashamed to admit that I spend way too much money between the Whatnot app and then also Fanatics Live.
It's
thousands of dollars.
Yeah, like some of these people are crazy with the money they put up, like tens, thousands of dollars a year. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean that's a world that's entirely unknown to me at this point, just because I know Sean's a bigger collector than I am, and I know he and his buddy, we call him Boston Mike. He's been on our show a couple times. He also does the partner show with Sean as well for sports gambling. But I don't know, Sean, what kind of stuff do you have with Joe that you can like maybe share with as far as what you've been getting lately out of some boxes, Sean?
Oh, as far as boxes, I mean, I haven't really been ripping too many boxes. I mainly have just been I do single card like auctions. So what I like to do a lot of times, I like to go on eBay and I'll just look for like auctions ending soonest and then kind of sort them by price. So I try to stick to, things that are under like $20 that are ending in the next like hour. And then you can kind of click and so you can kind of watch them. And then I'll just try to snipe them at the end as Joe probably knows about that. People that wait till the very end and try to bid. And so, it kind of screws people over as they think they're going to win and then they don't. But there's also other people doing that. So you're dealing with all the other snipers. But I do that. And then besides that, I do some breaks, Joe. I buy into breaks. So like, obviously with the new football that comes out, obviously, with the rookie class that just got drafted, and then baseball to an extent too. And then a lot of the top prospects are playing, like the kid from Anthony from the Red Sox. I'll try to buy into some of these breaks of like Bowman Chrome or something and try to land some of those, rookie cards. But yeah, that's it for the most part.
Yeah, I was going to say, when I was in town with you last, Sean, you had quite a good collection on there. I know Mike's got quite a bit too. So, I mean, I know it's something you're just slowly, gradually trying to build over time. So, I mean, it's always interesting to see whenever you open up new packs. And then also you've given a lot of your extras, let's just say, to Andy. And unfortunately, they're still kind of just piling up in his closet at this point in time. But anyway, I know you guys are all here for a little bit of let's call it a therapy session, to say the least, when it comes to the Sabres, because while they have made some moves, they have ultimately kind of left quite a bit more to be desired for us at this point in time. However, they're still making some small moves as well, as we are even speaking in the last few minutes. I do know Riley Fiedler-Schultz was signed for, I think the vet minimum at this point in time for a couple of years. Which of you guys a little more than that? All right, Joe, what were the exact details on that one?
Yeah, it's a 2-year, two-way deal, 865,000 AAV. So almost
Nice.
100K more than the league minimum right now.
Oh,
So
all right.
good for him.
Nice. And there was another one that just made it through the pipeline a moment ago, like right before we went live. Which one was that again, Joe?
Zach Metza, right shot defenseman, played the last couple of years with the Amerks. 1
He's
year,
solid.
1 year at 775K. So that's the league minimum.
Yeah. So, I mean, these little ones are kind of trickling through as we're still going here. So maybe, hey, I was just saying to Sean and Joe on the stream a moment ago, I've got quite a bit of thunder and lightning going on right here in Richmond. So maybe this is some good things to come on our end that we can just kind of force a trade or a big move by Kevin Adams and Jarmo Kekalainen right now. But anyway, to kind of start things off, I wanted to recap a couple things. We talked a little bit on Friday, right before the draft went down, just what we'd like to have seen out of the draft. Obviously, we were kind of split when we had our friend Carl Eppers on the show. He was a team keep the pick or use or any means necessary to make the team better, whether it was keeping the pick. I know Sean and I, we kind of went back and forth for how we would have approached this, but I think we were all in kind of universal, agreement that Radim Murtka, the draft pick that they made 9th overall, was a pretty solid pick as far as being a giant, tall, right shot defenseman, pretty skilled offensively, not known for his physicality, but then kind of keeping along with the theme of the draft as well. You saw Bedkowski. I forget his first name, unfortunately.
David, I want to say,
yeah. David Bedkowski going in the 3rd round after the Sabres traded their second round pick to be part of a package deal for getting Connor Timmins back, and they also sent Connor Clifton to the Penguins in the process. But anyway, I kind of wanted to recap. Joe, what were your initial takeaways from the draft? I know obviously the bigger theme overall was just getting just bigger and meaner overall. Were there any other lingering thoughts you had about the draft before we start talking more about free agency?
Yeah, I kind of expected them to keep the pick. I know there's always talk every year. There's going to be massive movement and whatnot, but it never happens. 2 years in a row, you're watching the draft and not a single roster player gets moved. I know technically Dobson was traded during the draft, but that went down at like noon on Friday. But yeah, I expected it to either be Radim Murtka or Roger McQueen. Both. I mean, McQueen's got his back problem, and Murtka is a raw, big prospect. Reminds people of a hybrid of Tyler Myers and Rasmus Ristolainen. So if you're
even took Tyler Myers' number.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's hard. Big right shot defensemen who can skate well don't grow on trees. So you got to draft them. It was pretty evident those guys are pretty valuable given what they gave up to land Connor Timmins and Michael Kesselring. So, hey, if you draft him, develop him, he's either a trade piece that can help you that way, or he's helping you on the team. So, I don't hate the pick at all. To be honest, I used to be a jumbo prospects guy. I would have the CHL package, watching all these games, but it takes a toll on the prospect guys too. So I'd be lying if I told you I knew a whole lot about them, but I like what I see so far. Poor guy looked miserable after getting picked, though. That was pretty cool.
Did. It got slightly better though once he got into his media scrum and things. He seemed like a little bit happier.
He was a pick away from going to Disney.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw the comparison of those two pictures of McQueen and Murtka, where you just see Murtka just looking like he almost has like basically a scowl on his face compared to McQueen. You see him just pictured next to Donald Duck getting helicoptered over to Disneyland over there. And my friend Joe Spencer, he lives out in California. Shout out to Joe. He was just asking why in God's name did they not do anything with Lightning McQueen and have him take pictures in there. And sure enough, moments later, you see not only the number 95 for Roger McQueen right after, but then actual the character prop of Lightning McQueen, the character from the Pixar movie. I thought that was not only well done on the player's part, but then also just everybody bought in, which is that's pretty great. So But again, just lingering thoughts on the draft. I mean, it'll be interesting just to see how those players just develop over time, because the Sabres in their pipeline now have their, I guess you could say their decor pipeline a bit more replenished. But again, the size, I think, just is a bigger deal as well. But now just kind of talking about just some of the things that were going on today for the Sabres as a whole. I think the thing that kind of started like some movement as far as the Sabres went was that trade of Sam Lafferty. My initial take is that it opens up an opportunity immediately for Josh Stone, now that he was like the big takeaway from the Peterka trade last week. So, I mean, I feel like they could put him on either the third line wing or the fourth line wing. I mean, what are your guys' initial takeaways after seeing him go? Not only that, but it also opened up $2 million more in cap space.
Yeah. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah. Obviously, I think I put a prediction post out a few days ago. I had a gut feeling that they were going to try and find a home for Sam Lafferty. He was not it. It did not work out, and hey, they got something for him better than waiving him or buying him out. They got a 6th-round pick. It is what it is, but leaves an opportunity for, like you said, Josh Doan. And then they brought in Dan Forth as well. I guess you could call him a Sam Lafferty replacement. So I think they got better today in that regard for sure.
I would agree, just because, I mean, Lafferty was going in and out of being the center position as well as just being on that bottom line. I mean, he often was just at the, well, how can I phrase this? Just at least somewhat politely to him. He was often not exactly a net positive on the ice, and I think he had overall a negative plus minus when it came to just being having goals against. Now, I can't say the same for, say, the other fourth liners, like the collection of Malenstein, even when they had Nicholas Aube-Kubel. I mean, Lafferty, I know, like, especially towards the end of the season, he didn't exactly get a lot of ice time from Lindy Ruff either. So, I mean, I also think he was, I see my friend of the show, Carl, he's saying he was forgettable. So, yes, indeed, forgettable. So, yeah, so his $2 million is now able to be spent by the Sabres. Well, let's see if they actually do spend to the salary cap at this point in time. The other thing that trickled in, I think, right away for the Sabres was Ryan Johnson. He returned for 3 more years. He had, I think, an AAV of $775,000. But the first year I thought was kind of interesting on that deal was it is a two-way contract for the first year, but for years 2 and 3, that is going to be a one-way deal. So you could also think that there is potential option for him to be more permanent in the NHL at that point. At least that's what the hope is, because he might ultimately get waived at that point in time, just because the development for him is key in these next couple of years. But again, that adds a little bit more fuel for him to maybe beat out somebody like your Jacob Brysons of the world. I mean, heck, you don't have to see Jacob Bernard Docker anymore, because he's now a Detroit Red Wing. But you could also see the same deal being done for Tyson Kozak. Very almost identical structure, and I think pay scale as well.
Yeah, the same.
So even with that same setup where he was a 2-way contract for year 1 and then 1-way, so ultimately hoping that he'll be NHL permanent for those second and third years of the contract. Any immediate takeaways for that, other than them just being key depth for both the D-core and the forwards at this point?
I have a couple. Just going back in like the last week, and I know we have part of Joe joining the show today. We're going to be releasing the audio from the last show as well, the quick segment that we had, but not to toot my own horn or anything, but just a couple of things. So we went back. Obviously, like Joe mentioned, he had the same sentiments as me when I said I was expecting us to take Murtka and or McQueen, who went next. So we hit that on the head. We then talked a little bit about Josh Stone, and I told you the work that he does in the blue paint, doing my film review. And now all of a sudden now that there's been a couple days, people are digesting the trade. And obviously the names at first that we got back weren't really, anything that moved the needle. But upon further review, Cass looks like a great partner for Owen Power. Amazing skating. His size is great. And he can shoot the puck. We talked about in our chat with Dwayne and the guys. But also Doan, man, I just was right before we went on, shout out to the guys over at the Athletic, Fairburn, and Baker, they were just saying, and this is kind of funny, it's what I actually saw on the film review, that Josh Doan, granted it's in a smaller sample size, but he's off the charts as far as his dump and chase ability to retrieve pucks. It's like number one in the NHL, which is exactly what I saw him doing, getting to those hard areas, not only in the blue paint, but he's just a guy that can, dump the puck in. He doesn't have to always carry it in. And that's what we've kind of been missing, I think, for the last couple of years. Is everybody wants to kind of carry the puck in and have that finesse game. We're starting to build more of a Lindy Ruff style team, I think, and you're seeing some of these players that we're adding go play the dump and chase game. That's what you have to do in the playoffs, and when you're trying to hold leads, and you can dump the puck in, you get it safe, get a line change, then go retrieve the puck and create offense. Very excited about Doan. And then the other thing that I mentioned too with you guys, I mentioned Ryan Johnson by name only a couple of days ago. I said this needs to be the year where he starts to phase out Bryson. And I think Johnson has a good shot at being that number 6 defenseman who can play up and down the lineup. And granted, I know Bryson has done that, in his time, but he's just Johnson just has more natural talent. I think he's a little bit better of a skater and a little bit more high offensive upside. I think he's just a better overall player than Bryson. So just funny, a lot of the things that we talked about now are all coming to fruition. So there's your SVGM hat is pretty on point, I think, right now.
Yeah. Joe, any takeaways from Ryan Johnson ultimately maybe seeing a promotion this year? And then also you could say the same for Tyson Kozak.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to start with Ryan Johnson. Don't let me forget about Kozak.
Sure.
Okay. Johnson, I think he's going to be on the team. Honestly, if you would have asked me a week ago, I would have said, yeah, probably not. I don't think there's going to be enough room. But with the bizarre decision of just letting Jacob Bernard-Docker go,
yeah, more on that later.
I don't know because right now you trade Byram, you got 2 holes, and that's not accounting for Ryan Johnson in there. You got Samuelson, who I would assume as of right now he's staying. You got Darlene Power and Kesselring. You got 2 defenseman spots open. And part of me wonders, is Ryan Johnson going to be a full-time fixture of this blue line? Like you said, I think this guy can play up and down the lineup. He can play a shutdown role on the third pair. I think he can help the penalty kill. Makes a good first pass, good skater. And another plus, he can play the left and the right side. One thing that I've been saying a lot, Rasmus Dahlin can play with anyone. So if they're going to try and cheap out, you don't want to pay $5 million to get a partner for Dahlin, for example. You put Johnson next to him, I think it's going to probably yield a pretty good result. But right now, I'm mapping it out in the background here. If Johnson is their third pair defenseman, put him with Timmins, that might be fine, honestly. Like, on paper, there might be but I think you could probably do a lot worse than that. But like you said, it's time for Johnson to put up or shut up. He is waivers exempt for 1 more year. But if he's not a full-time member of this team this year, I would expect they really give him a shot next year. But we'll see.
Yeah, he's ultimately like one of the last of like the true Botterill picks that are still remaining with the team. So I think he is like the sole survivor of what's left of his, let's just say, not so great track record of drafting. And you could also ultimately say the same for Tim Murray. Yeah, Samuelson too. He's also part of that. Yeah.
Let me ask you, I want to ask you both to get your perspective. So just looking at last year, so obviously we talked about Connor Clifton getting shipped out in that trade. So a lot of last year was Connor Clifton on a pair with, name your person, Bryson maybe at certain points.
Gilbert.
Yeah, Gilbert. I mean, I personally think Timmins and Johnson is a much stronger third pair, but with offensive upside. I think Timmins definitely has offensive upside. He scored some nice goals last season. And Johnson, I think I agree with you, Joe. He has got a great first pass. He hasn't scored a lot for whatever reason in the A and wherever he's really played.
And that's okay.
as far as goal scoring. But okay. I think he has some untapped potential. He was pretty good in college. Would you guys agree? I think that's a much improved third pair.
For sure. Clifton was a turnover machine. I mean, he even saw some time in the press box towards the end of the season last year. I mean, I saw plenty of media members just kind of give him like some props saying like absolutely wonderful, nice guy, things like that. And like off the ice. But I mean, it's not going to get you anywhere on the ice, especially like if you're part of the reason why we're getting scored on in buckets at that point in time.
Yeah. And while we're talking about that third pair, is Power Kesselring your second pair? And then, like I said a few moments ago, Dahlin can play with anyone. Is Samuelsson next to him? I mean,
it might make us barf a little, but at the same time, like or die inside. But yeah, I mean, I think he was a part of like a hopeful like push to see him like ultimately go, not whether it was in the form of a buyout, whether Kevin Adams wanted to admit it or not, or maybe even in a trade. So, but at the same time, I mean, would it be absolutely the worst thing to see Samuelsson with Dahlin? Not necessarily. There's always like that shred of hope that even though most of us want to, as Derek Kramer said, either sell him for a dryer or shoot him into the sun. I mean, part of that first season that we had Samuelsson, where he was considered that shutdown decor man, that might still be there. I mean, this is not me just giving, let's just say, an endorsement of him. By no means do I want to see him even see the ice in a Sabres uniform next season. But at the same time, if he's able to just find a way to get some of that game back in him, and once again, ultimately know that, like, hey, your physicality here is needed, especially after the New Jersey incident from last season. I mean, maybe there's a shred of hope, but hey, this is all of us just grasping at straws here just to see if there's any just remote level of change.
And also, too, don't forget that at the moment we still have Bo Byram. He's on the roster. I mean, obviously he's an RFA, but I could see us maybe not moving him. Maybe he ends up staying and plays with Dahlin on the first pair, and Samuelsson becomes your sixth or your seventh guy, or maybe they look to move him out. Now, I think, Joe, and I want to hear your guys' opinion too. With Bo, I mean, I'm thinking that Bo is going to end up being probably the chip that brings you back a top six forward, depending on what they do in free agency. And they could still sign a free agent defender. I mean, probably not because we've signed a bunch. But, let's not forget that right now Bo is still here.
There's not a whole lot out there.
No,
free agency right now.
Yeah, huge dud of a free agency because everybody wanted to stay where they were at. They were worried that they would be threatened that they'd actually have to join the Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah, like if they don't get Ehlers, I don't know. Andrew Mangiapane, I think, is still out there. He might be okay, but
I think they tried going for him last year, and it ultimately failed because that was like a draft time trade. I remember he got traded to Washington.
He had no trade list. I don't know if they even went after him. I'm not sure, but that didn't happen. Duran was an idea. He went to the Islanders. Granlund went to the Ducks. There's nothing, absolutely nothing. Apparently, I just saw that Ehlers wants to go somewhere where it's quiet. I might be parsing words there, but
quiet, huh?
That might be, but I wouldn't say. I mean, if you're like living on Twitter like we are, I don't think it's quiet. But
I would say it's much quieter than, say, like a Canadian hockey market for sure.
From a media perspective, definitely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But like as far as fan pressure and I don't think that's necessarily quiet. But I don't know. They got the cap space to do it. Do they have the willingness to do it? I don't know. But they got to do something because I'm telling you, if they don't spend to the cap this year, like Terry and Kevin are going to get tarred and feathered in Alumni Plaza. They're not going to be able to show their face around town.
Yeah, hung from the French Connection statue.
Yeah, like this, it's getting ugly, and we're on July 1st. Like it's going to be a long summer. They gotta do something here. It might sting, but you got to do it because whether they believe it or not, their jobs are probably on the line.
Yeah,
they're all on their last year of their deal. I know Terry Pagula isn't the sharpest tool in the shed, but he's got an itchy trigger finger. He may love Kevin Adams to death, but man, like 6 years, no playoffs.
The only thing working,
Kevin Adams drought alone. Where does that rank on the all-time drought leaderboard? I'd like to know that.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing working in our favor is if this is indeed the last season, like this wouldn't be like having to pay somebody to not work here anymore. Like the contract is over. Like that would be just a finality in and of itself. But still, I mean, we could talk in circles about what they could and could not do at this point. But I mean, the two like last big moves they can do are like we were talking about before, Nick Ehlers out of Winnipeg. Like if they have the firepower to be willing to do so, then hey, sign away Yarmo and Kevin. Let's make it happen. I mean, this is the time to be aggressive. I mean, they've already shown the propensity to change the decor, like we've already mentioned. But I mean, the only other thing that could happen is if you find somebody that has they do not have any no movement clauses. If you do pull off this Bo Byram trade, because he, like Sean already mentioned, would be the only thing to give you back a true asset. But I mean, talk a little bit more, maybe something on the more positive side of things, which is one of the better RFA signings they were able to pull off. Ryan McLeod re-signed 4 years, $5 million average annual value. So basically 4 for $20 million total. I mean, overall, that is an absolute net positive for not only everything he brought on the ice, but just an overall change to the forward group and adding just a great level of depth to the center group as well. Joe, what's your initial thoughts? And I'll jump to Sean right after.
Good deal. I think most of us expected it to be in the $5 million range. I think 4 years is a good term. I wasn't too crazy about going more than that because, I don't know, you don't want to be boxed. He's your third line center in the grand scheme of things. Do you really need your third line center to be locked in long term? Probably not. But he was awesome last year. Everything that they could have hoped for, Ryan McLeod was that guy. Brings a ton of speed, play up and down the lineup. Josh Norris gets hurt. That's your 2C, and I would be thrilled with that. Like, if Ryan McLeod is your third line center, on paper, you probably have a pretty good team. But not this paper.
Yeah, I mean, when you have Yuri Kulik and, like you said, Josh Norris being in front of him as far as the center depth, and that's if Tage Thompson stays on the wing, and also ultimately hoping that Josh Norris, like you already had also said, doesn't get hurt, as he's shown a propensity to do at this point in time. I mean, maybe that extra time at the end of the season last year will do him some just ultimately like good for his playing ability, just his overall health, maybe in the truly sought after strength and conditioning coach can make that big change in the team's just ability to stay healthy too. Looking at you too, Jordan Greenway. But at the same time, I mean, the center depth, like it's, if a guy goes, or if they even lose more than one of them, like things might look a little dire. I mean, you might have to start calling up some of those kids from Rochester as well. Sean, what's your take on the McLeod signing as well?
Yeah, I like it. We talked about it. I expected him to get somewhere between 4 and 5, so he fell right at 5, the high end. They rewarded him. You know, he was great last year. He was great defensively. He showed a propensity to create offense off the rush. He's obviously one of our fastest players, if not the fastest player on the team. He's good. Now, honestly, I at first thought, 5 for 4 years. 4 years seems like a lot, but then again, I remember he's super young. I think he's only 25.
Right.
So you're basically getting him in his prime years, through the end of his prime for the most part. And I just think that what he showed last year with, the different injuries we had, Tage getting moved from center, he's just, and that's obviously the reason why we shipped out Savoy to begin with, a highly, ranked prospect, is he's very valuable. He can play in all situation. Obviously he's a specialist on the penalty kill, but don't forget a lot of times he was taking the important draws in the offensive zone on the power play too. So I just think he's an all situations type of player. And for a guy, with the cap going up and the value and the versatility he brings, for him to get $5 million for 4 years, I think it's a little bit of an insurance policy. Obviously that's break glass if you need to. You don't want him being your either one or probably your number 2 center. But if you need to, he's shown the propensity to be able to do it. So I think it's kind of it's an insurance policy, and he's a good player to have. And on a good team, when the Sabres are hopefully ready to contend for a cup, you want him to be your number 3 center, and that's what I think that's what he's going to be here for.
Number 4 center on Edmonton last year in the cup.
There you go.
There you go. And had playoff experience that matters, especially at that level and at that moment in time. The next couple news I saw is kind of trickle in throughout the course of the day. Was a defenseman, looks like to be a depth defenseman, or especially for the Rochester side of things, Mason Geertsen. And then also a former Sabres prospect now brought back into the fold, Justin Danforth. He looks to be another either depth forward at this point in time, or again, another player for Rochester to use. I know they're going through a little bit of change down in their end as well. I don't see any immediate takeaways from those guys. And I mean, again, unless you're in one of those break glass in case of emergency types of things, but it's still important to be able to talk about and knowing that like the moves that have happened today aren't exactly of substantial of any kind.
Well, size, Chris. Another guy that's big and throws. He fights and he hits. He's physical.
This is true, and he has shown a propensity to do that. I know there was some footage of him doing that. I think he was with New Jersey last year. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe I saw a nice fight with him against Laval. I'm going to assume that was in the playoffs for the AHL this past.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
All the playoff. Yeah,
I think it was with Utica. Yeah.
Yep.
Joe, any thoughts on those?
I gotta be honest, I don't know a lot about Geertsen. I know he got like claimed off waivers a couple of times a couple of years ago. He was a name back then and just never stuck around in the NHL, bounced around the AHL a little bit. My thought of him is this guy's a goon. I don't know. Can play left wing or left defense. I think the last time we brought in a guy like that was John Scott, right? I'm pretty sure.
Well, at this stage in the endless rebuild, I mean, I think we're at the cycle point again where we could use a few more goons now. Yeah. So,
and then as far as Danforth, he's going to be in Buffalo, a 2-year deal at $1.8 million. So I would assume that he's going to be competing for that fourth line spot. It's a pretty crowded right side. Thompson, Tuck, Quinn, Doan, and Danforth.
Not to mention Malenstein's out on the other wing too. That fourth line, heck, even the third line. Yeah, I mean, you want to get the best of the best on there, and I mean, some of these guys are going to likely be healthy scratches. But again, I mean, this should be a wake-up call for your Beck Malensteins and Jordan Greenways of the world. So
there's a lot of guys in the forward group. Right now they've got 14 guys. So, and that's without trading Byram for a top 2-line winger too. So either someone in that forward group is going to get waived. Maybe it's Kozak. Kozak does have to go on waivers this year. But with having multiple years left and then $775 guaranteed in the last 2 years of that, is anyone going to pick that up? Who knows? But you can get creative with waiving guys. You can waive them early in camp, and then that team who picks Kozak up would have to have the roster spot for him, because then if they waive him, we can just pick him back up and put him right in Rochester. So
yeah, and the other thing too,
they would be okay waiving him this year, but I don't know. They got a lot of guys. They got to figure it out. I hope they do figure it out. But yeah, Danforth, he's going to be in Buffalo, and also a Yarmo guy.
Yes, I did see that. Some history in Columbus right there.
Yeah.
One thing you talked about with being creative as far as just keeping the lineup and as far as being subjected to waivers or not, there are no more paper transactions allowed for this coming year too. So that'll also require a little bit of maneuverability there from the front office. But again, just interesting to see just some of the names on here, just still kind of go along with the theme, tougher to play against, better defensively overall. Like that is looking to be just the overall theme, but just the execution is going to be key. But kind of looking back at the RFAs as a whole, the qualifying offers were sent to all the restricted free agents, including Bo Byram in this regard. So he is technically on the team. Now, no deal has been announced for him, and maybe, again, that's still subject to trade speculation. I know Darren Dreger earlier. Oh, what do we got here?
That's Darren right there.
Oh, who do we got? What's Darren Dreger saying?
Darren Dreger said, this is what he said earlier today. So
yes,
he had said things are percolating around Bo and Byram. Trade conversations are happening. Calgary, Vegas, LA, and St. Louis, so all Western teams, which I guess that makes sense. Also hearing an offer sheet could be being contemplated. Interesting.
I saw a little bit of debate as far as whether an offer sheet would be what is ultimately going to be given up for Bo Byram at this point, and just basically getting draft picks as compensation. And then at the same time, you hope that's not going to be the deal that the Sabres get for Byram. And I mean, I know offer sheets are not necessarily the thing that happens most frequently. I think, Joe, you had a little bit of commentary on this earlier, so feel free to share your thoughts on that.
From the sound of it, doesn't seem like many teams, unless like you're a guaranteed playoff team, no one wants to give up an unprotected first round pick in this draft. It could be Gavin McKenna. Honestly, like if you're like Calgary, one of the teams who can actually submit an offer sheet that have the cap space to do it for Byram, are you gonna give up Gavin McKenna potentially to get Bone Byram? Like that's insane. Like no. I think if Byram's gonna move, if he moves, I have no idea what's gonna happen at this point. But I think he's gonna get traded. There's not gonna be an offer sheet. I'd be kind of surprised if there were any offer sheets this year. Honestly, it seemed like a lot of the bigger name RFAs either got traded, like Paterka, or re-upped with their teams, like Nyes. So hopefully they can get a good deal. I was looking at Calgary's roster earlier. Connor Zary. I've liked Connor Zary for a long time. He was a name in the back in the Eichel trade negotiations. Feels like a lifetime ago.
Back when Matthew Tkachuk was still hope for the Sabres at that point in time.
Yeah, so I like Zary. He's an RFA. He could be a guy. And they got 2 first-round picks this year. So I don't know. I think Calgary seems like I would say the most likely destination. I know LA was kicked around quite a bit, but they signed Dumoulin and CC today. So
yeah,
their defense is full. I'd be pretty surprised if LA was still a Byram team.
All right. Let's go trade him. I've been very outspoken about trying to get Byfield to be that piece, come be our de facto 1A or 1B center.
I don't know if LA is going to trade Byfield.
That'd be a big trade, man. If they did that, I mean, he's the number one. I've told Chris Maz a lot. I think even with Pettersson, obviously his trade clause or no trade clause is kicked in now. Yeah. I think he's at the very tip top of my list of players, just based on his package of skill and the blend of size that he has. I think he would be awesome. I was honestly surprised to hear that his name was being floated out there, because if I were them, I wouldn't want to move him. He's their number one center of the future. Kopitar is not getting any younger.
Yeah, I don't think those rumors had any merit to them.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other appealing thing with Byfield is extremely affordable right now and would still be an RFA, even after this current contract that he's on too. But again, just kind of circle back to more on the RFAs that we were talking about earlier. Also seeing a couple comments trickle through. So hello to our viewers in Texas as well. Thank you very much. But at the same time, excuse me. The RFA that was talked about quite a bit today, Jacob Bernard Docker, not given a qualifying offer, and caused quite a bit of stir amongst Sabres social media, and even just a little bit of clashing back and forth with some media members, to say the few. I know Mike Harrington had a thing or two to say about that as well. Respect to what he does from a journalistic standpoint, and just always being able to ask the hard-hitting questions. But, I mean, I didn't love the way he had to give a holier-than-thou attitude on just the way that people were just genuinely disappointed at the fact that they didn't tender a guy that was part of one of the biggest trades, if not one of the biggest moves of not only during the season last year, but ultimately the offseason right now. And now he just signed a very minimal deal with Detroit, I think, for 1 year, Bernard Docker. And he had a lot of really good metrics going into the end of the season. I mean, he was paired with Dahlin. He was paired with Power. You moved him all up and down the lineup. He even scored a few goals, and he even kind of joked about it himself that say, hey, don't get used to this kind of thing. But, I mean, you could argue, like, there's a really bad, look for asset management there. I mean, maybe he wasn't a Lindy guy. Maybe he just didn't jive well with the players in the locker room at that point. We don't know too much of the behind-the-scenes stuff on there. But, I mean, from a fan's perspective or maybe an outsider's perspective there, especially when you have only Josh Norris being the key part left over of that trade that the Sabres received at that point in time. I just don't think that's a great look as far as asset management was going there, and just the media members in general, and even some content creators, I think, kind of getting in on this, kind of having like a almost viewpoint of when Dominic Cahoon was here back during the COVID days or pre-COVID days. Just like the comparison of the two, I feel like it's just, I don't know. My initial just takeaway is just like you lost another right-handed defenseman. Now apparently we have the team has them in spades at this point in time, but I don't know, like for somebody that just kind of gelled and worked well in the lineup, granted the games were meaningless at that point in time, I just think it's just a bad use of your assets and just a wasted part of a trade just now gone, just basically for nothing at this point in time. Joe, what's your initial takeaway on that?
I'm still confused by it. Like, I don't care. Like this, but everything they do, nothing they do can faze me anymore. We've seen it all, but he was good. Like the numbers backed it up, the eye test backed it up. He, like, out of all the partners that Owen Power had in his career, like Power looked like defensively sound every game that I saw with those two guys together. And obviously he's gone now, but we're not going to see it again. But like, it was promising. Like, okay, this guy, he's a smart defender. I don't know if they thought he was too similar to Timmins or like if he was too small. But then I look at Jacob Bryson signed. So I don't know. Like
He's the gift that keeps on giving. I mean, you can call him whatever you want, immortal, a cockroach. He just refuses to die.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So, and funny enough, Jacob Bryson making more like $25K more a year than Jacob Bernard Docker.
Just never understand.
A couple inches shorter. Like, it does not make any sense. You didn't have to accept. Maybe they let him go. I'm speechless. It doesn't make any sense. Like, we saw how expensive these right shot D go for. You couldn't get anything for them. Like, come on, that's insane. And maybe they just didn't like him. That's totally possible too. I remember watching Adams talk after the trade on deadline day, and he didn't really talk about him at all. And I thought it was a little odd because I was of the mind, okay, that second round pick was in there for Bernard Docker, for a first round pick, kind of falls out of favor in the Sounders organization. All right, yeah, that makes sense. So, pardon I don't know if you guys can hear my dog howling down there.
Barely. I'm surprised you guys don't hear the thunder down here in Richmond. So,
but anyways, so I just thought it was a little weird. Like, he didn't talk about Bernard Docker at all, and then he was scratched for a handful of games, and then he finally got in. They're playing pretty well. So, I don't know. And clearly, maybe the league doesn't think much of him either because he signed for dirt cheap in Detroit. So, I don't know. Maybe we're overreacting. Maybe we're not. I just think, the guy's a good player, clearly. And,
I mean, former first-round pick. He has that pedigree in him. So, I mean, but I don't know.
Hooked up like 30 minutes into free agency too. So that should tell you something.
Right. Well. Day one. Right.
Day one, first hour.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. But a couple other takeaways I had this, and I'm not going to try and make this sound like into a little mini rant of sorts, but I mean, if there's no trade for Bowen Byram, and if they really strike out, which they very likely are going to on the Nick Ehlers signing going forward, like, I mean, it's going to be an absolute travesty if this is really all they're going to be able to pull off on this, because Brian Rust, I know, like, was a lot of trade. There's a lot of trade talk for him going into the weekend on this, and yes, he is a line mate of Sidney Crosby. For maybe taking him out of the equation from Pittsburgh, no matter what you're going to ultimately give up for him, like, if that's like going to be your big move, like, that's great. He's a veteran and stuff like that. But just because you take him out of Pittsburgh and just have to totally gain new chemistry with new line mates and things like that, I don't think that's going to be necessarily the move right there. Is he affordable? Yes. Great. Awesome. But like, and then to kind of even go back a little bit more is just, if you're going back to coaching decisions, we're talking a lot about how Lindy Ruff's having more input on things now. Now, all of a sudden, you're going to be able to have like your say on roster moves. Like, yes, he was new once again to the organization, like relearning the entire roster on there. But you're saying he didn't have the ability to have this last year, and now all of a sudden you're just bringing in like his opinions, his mindset on things. Like, okay, sure. And then you could say the same for the coaching staff. Like, again, Kevin Adams was quoted last week, like, Lindy has the ability to bring on whoever he wants, if he wants to let somebody go or bring somebody on, whatever it may be. But again, you don't do it. And you have the same coaching staff that was with Don Granado at this point. It's really just frustrating to just kind of trust and see where the direction is going at this point in time. And we have, the Sabres have a ton of cap space still to be used at this point in time, because let's be real. If Nick Ehlers doesn't come here, that would be, let's just say if they overpay him, he ends up being, I don't know, somewhere between 10 and 12 million. Like, if that's not used at this point in time, like, Terry better be using that to like upgrade the arena or something at this point in time, because yeah, like you said, tarred and feathered, hang him from Gilbert Perreault's statue, his bust on there. Maybe one of them, I don't remember the exact layout of the statue on there, but maybe one of the sticks are a little bit higher. Maybe you could hang them from there at this point in time. But still, I mean, you got to be able to spend to the cap. You see this historical precedent set by them that they're not spending to the cap floor every single year, or not to the cap floor, just to the bare minimum of what they're able to have left over at this point in time. I mean, the only move of significance being the JJ trade. I mean, yes, you got Kesselring, which we talked about this already. We like what he could bring. We like what Josh Doan's potential could be. But I mean, you're already going to be missing out on 28 goals or 50-some goals that have been scored in the last 2 seasons now. For this to be your big move, it's beyond just embarrassing. And I'm trying to still have like a glass half full approach on the team. But if you're just trying to show that is really just going to be your big move, it really shows to me that the Jarmo Kekalainen addition and the Eric Stahl Dwight Schrute addition, I mean, that's just window dressing at that point. It sounds like it was just a move to appease the fans. And I'm sorry, it's other than just the fourth line depth guy, Justin Danforth, just being a Jarmo guy at this point in time, like, that's really like all we've gotten to show for it at this point. Unless, like, hey, maybe in the next little bit of time as we're speaking on this, you'll see some type of free agent acquisition because of one of those guys. But right now, it's really hard to just continue to just try and find just positives for them. I mean, what are some initial takeaways you guys had of all this? Because it's tough for them, and it's tough for the fans, and you hate to see it for the fans.
Yeah, I want to hear what Joe has to say, but I just will make my points quick. They did say, I forget which insider from the NHL mentioned that the Ehlers signing was likely to be at least like a day or so out. He's weighing his options or some kind of stuff going on behind the scenes. So no real surprise that he hasn't signed anywhere as of yet, being that it was only the first day. I think we will see, and I could definitely see them trying to. They're definitely in on him. Now, are they gonna win? Are they gonna make the highest offer? I certainly hope so. I think they can do that. But then, to your point, with Rust, it wouldn't be the best thing. I mean, I'd prefer to go the trade route with Bo, as far as trying to get a younger player. Rust is a little bit old in the tooth. I would equate that move to doing like another Jason Zucker move. An effective player, a guy who can play a scoring top 6 wing for maybe another year or two. Sure, a guy scored in the 30 plus goal range for multiple seasons on Crosby's wing. So you put him on with Tage, you put him on with some other players. Maybe he sees his production dip a little bit without having that super quality top line center. But I think wouldn't be the worst thing if we were to do that. But I think that's the bare minimum. I want to see them go all in with Ehlers or make a trade for Bo Byram. And I said anything short of that, with Russ being like the bare minimum, it's going to be disappointed. If they do nothing, there's going to be some real problems. The fan base is going to be loud if they get to the point, I think, where there's no other significant moves that have happened, and we're going to roll again with, let's let our young players step into these bigger roles. We clearly know that they weren't ready, so what's to say that they're going to be ready? Yeah, another year of growth, but you can't force guys that should be playing sheltered minutes, playing full-time NHL role against men, against guys that are seasoned veterans. So that's just my 2 cents about it.
Joe, what's your thoughts? I mean, just we're at this point again where we've been on a breaking point for so long. I feel like you can't even call it that. You can't call it rock bottom. You can't call it, but so many negative things anymore. I mean, let it rip. What do you say?
Well, on Ehlers, I heard today on, it might have been Trade Center, that Ehlers is actually having personal conversations with coaches and GMs. So, God, if we can get a seat at the table, gives me a little bit of hope, because we've seen Jarmo Kekalainen. You got Johnny Gaudreau. He pulled off the big swing. He got Bobrovsky. He got Panarin. Pulled off the Duchesne trade when I think the last time they made the playoffs. So they can get a seat at the table. Like, you're in a do or die year. Like, if they're gonna spend, it's got to be this year.
Show that you belong in the league.
Yeah.
Show that you actually want to not be a farm system for the rest of the NHL and just give your players away for not nothing, but just for lesser assets to you.
Yeah. And they clearly like them. Like, for a long time, going back to Botterill, like, there was that rumored trade that almost happened. They wanted him last year. Like, I got it on pretty good authority that they were chasing him and Iafallo before the draft last year. I'd be stunned if they didn't at least make a phone call. Now, are they gonna be told to kick rocks? I don't know. But I think Ehlers is my best case scenario. Now, middle case scenario, Owen Tippett, Connor Zary, you got to do something that we're not thinking of. And then I would go not worst case scenario, because worst case scenario, you do nothing. But like Brian Rust, like, he's not the best idea, but it's something. It's a respectable player, multiple Stanley Cups, scored 30 goals last year. Like, I don't care that he's old. Like, aren't we? I thought we were past this age thing at this point, but
I mean, we do need the team needs the actual veteran presence on there more so than ever before. I mean, yes, a lot of the players on the team, like Tage, like Alex Tuck, like they're getting older only because like they've been on the team long enough where they're considered these older veterans at this point in time, which is alarming. And Jason Zucker being the older statesman, and like you said, if Brian Rust is to be that person that comes here, like, that's tough, especially when you don't have just this pedigree already of winning. And you hear Lindy Ruff saying over and over and over that fix the culture, fix the culture, fix the culture. Like, if they're able to do that in a positive mindset and way to like get the team where they should be, great. But I mean, until like real substantial moves happen, I feel for the fan base. I feel for us who just continue to cover the content of the team here. I mean, they don't make it easy at the same time, but they also don't leave a lack of things to talk about. One other thing, which I thought was just a real cherry on top for just how the day has gone for the Sabres, was the fact that there was a ridiculous assertion made that has also been commented on by COO Pete Goelli, alleging that this is not necessarily the case, by the way, that the Sabres themselves do not like how critical that the broadcast team has been. Like, are you kidding me? Because Brian Duff and Marty Baron, like, they're trying in every capacity to not just basically badmouth the team. It's like, sometimes you just roll your eyes for how positive the takes they have. I mean, you could hear it in Rob Ray's voice a little bit this year, because like the guy's been around the block plenty of times. You've also heard plenty of rumors of like, even from like Rob Ray himself, that he might even like retire. So, I mean, the fact that is what came out today, and even Pete Goelli had to talk about that, I'd say that goes to show you again that this makes it so the Sabres are more of a clown show of just really just legendary amounts of charm and ultra softness in the organization right there. I mean, if you were worried about just how you're seen just by your own team there, you got more problems than you could possibly imagine.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and how many times have we said on this pod and not just amongst ourselves that I feel that, to be honest with you, the Sabres commentating team for the TV broadcast is beyond biased in our homers, and they let them off the hook and are not even nearly close to being as aggressive or as negative as they really should be. And they've been towing the company line. And we've heard a lot of stories from a lot of different people that have kind of confirmed that that's the case. So the fact that they're starting to feel a little bit of pressure and that they want that to be kind of rescinded is a joke.
Yeah. And Joe, what's your thoughts on that?
Back when Luke Buckley and I were doing our podcast many years ago, we would call like the instigators at the time, now Sabres Live. It was state-sponsored media. Literally, like they would not say a bad thing about the team. And I would start to hear things because I got connections over at the station. And like when Kruger was the coach, they wouldn't allow, like the producers would not allow calls to be aired, like people to go on the air where they wanted to talk about Ralph Kruger in a negative way because it would look bad. Like it's just insane. This, like, they care about the perception, but it's just a bad look. Like, one, I don't think they're negative at all. Like I posted today, I have had multiple conversations individually with Brian Duff and Marty Baron, and some of the things that were said to me in these conversations, you would be stunned by what you see on TV. So I don't know. I didn't get a chance to read the article because I don't have a subscription. So I don't know exactly what part of the broadcast the negativity is referring to. But when you brought up Rob Ray, I mean, I guess that would make sense. Rob was definitely a lot more disgruntled this year with some of the side comments he would make. I hope it's not about Marty and Duffer, because like I can't recall them saying a bad thing on the air ever. So it doesn't make much sense to me. And I know Pete kind of walked back that report, but the guy still lost his job. So what happened? So,
yeah, all that came about from one of the actual members of the broadcast team, like the behind the scenes production crew, lost a job. His name misses
Joe
me
Pinter.
at this point.
Joe
Yes, yeah. So, but still, all of that was brought about, and just that was what the overall reaction was to that. I mean, real charming softness there from the team.
What are you supposed to say when you blow multiple 5 or 6 goal leads and you lose 14 games in a row? Like, you can't really sugarcoat anything.
Rob's been doing this for 20 plus years, basically. Like, what you can only say, this team sucks in so many different ways.
Yeah,
like
basically
a running joke for a while. Oh, good period for the Buffalo Sabres. They're losing like 3-0. Like, this every year this happens. Like, I don't blame him if these rumors that he wants to retire are true.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
Yep.
I don't know. Like,
one comment I wanted to kind of highlight here. Let's see. Mark Lonzak. Oh yeah, go ahead.
We never talked about Alex Lyon.
Oh yeah, that's right. How could we forget? One of the few other bright spots of the day. Just kind of circling back to like a Ryan McLeod type of vibe. I like the signing very much, actually, because that goes to show that they're actually going to try and get real veteran goaltending in there. He had a pretty solid goals against average. It was a sub-3 goals against average these last couple of years.
Good record too this past season. It's like 14.
Yeah, and I mean, again, I think every time the Sabres went up against him, is a Lion or Leon? I've heard it pronounced both ways. Okay, Lion. So Alex Lyon. I feel like anytime the Sabres have gone up against him, like he kind of like put a stone wall up against him.
Yeah, he stood on his head. I remember a couple times for sure.
He was in that game a couple years ago when he missed by 1 point.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
39 saves.
Yep. Oh, but hey, now he's here. And also a few years younger than James Reimer, so you now know that is not going to be the option this year. And I think it all but paves the way for Levi being in Rochester for one more year, essentially. So, but yeah. Good save on that, by the way. Pun intended when it comes to goalies there, Joe. But yeah, Alex Lyon being the new goaltender signed by the Sabres today. Notable outside free agent acquisition here. But I wanted to try a new segment on here because we're in the mode of just trying to vent a little bit today. But it's A couple of my friends who know me pretty well, I'm going to call this the grind my gears segment. So what I want to do here, Joe, is just kind of take sports outside of this just for a little bit, just as we're kind of wrapping things up here. We've been going for an hour. Also, to all 1,300 of you just tuning in, really appreciate you sticking with us here. But just to kind of take away from some things here, Joe, just kind of give us almost like a moment of zen and then a moment to vent some more. What are two things, not Sabres or even sports related, that maybe you've even been able to like enjoy? Maybe something that you've been able to just really appreciate lately, and obviously not like keep it like politics and things like that nonsense, like out of it, of course. Just things like that you've been able to enjoy. And then after that, I want you to really lay into what's one thing that you absolutely 100% cannot stand, like the athlete name segment that completely unequivocally grinds your gears and infuriates you. I know the Sabres are easy to do it that way, but a couple things just to kind of take our mind off of the sports world here. I want to shoot, and I'll let Sean shoot on this one as well before I kind of say my things.
All right. The Sabres consume my life, unfortunately. Not by choice. It just happens. So it's hard to find things that you enjoy when you got that dark cloud above you at all times. But I started running again. I was an avid runner for years back when I was in college, and I tripped over a sidewalk, shattered my elbow during COVID, and like derailed any progress I had. So it's really never been the same since then. Get back pain when I run now. I'm getting old, folks. I'm getting old. Uh, so long story short, my grandfather, he was a big runner, ran in several marathons. He passed away last year. So my sister and I are going to be doing a 5K this September in his honor for him. So I've been training for that. Proud of myself, fighting through the pain, hoping to.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so that's something. That's a positive, I guess you could say. Also, I ran in that Sabres 5K for the 50th anniversary, and I kicked Jason Botterill's ass.
Yes.
The
Yes.
the records are up. Go check it out. I came in 21st place. That guy came in the triple digits.
Yo, you love to see and hear that.
Yeah.
Also, he looked like hell when he was reintroduced as the Kraken GM. Age has not been kind to Jason Botterill.
Yeah. Ozempic has been.
Yeah, that's good. All right, but then what's one thing you could say? So appreciate that, because you got to find ways to release that energy. And then what's another thing that you just absolutely outside of hockey related that you that truly just grinds your gears?
Huh. My dog sometimes. The love of humanity. That guy scratched my face this morning. I don't know if you guys are following along like during the losing streak, but I adopted my dog around that time. His name's Teddy, named after Ted's hot dogs.
Excellent.
By the way. So
real full circle for you there, huh?
Yes. So he was adopted right at the beginning of the 13-game losing streak, and we watched every game together. He did not know what a win was. So that was pretty fun.
This is starting to ring a bell now. Yes.
So,
yeah.
Got lots of death threats for the poor guy. He was just a puppy. We were like, "Oh, you gotta kill him. Take one for the team." But he's a bastard, but I love him. So he attacks me sometimes. I try and keep a pretty positive outlook on a lot of things. So not a lot rattles me. The faceless reply guys.
You're Alex Joneses of the world. Yes, shout out to you, Alex Jones, wherever you are in the ethers of the internet.
Damn well he's watching.
Oh yeah,
he's watching.
Yeah. Speaking of inside men, right there. But yeah, there you go. That's our father's stick. He ran that same race, I think, as well.
Yeah. So reply guys, they grind my gears, but I don't really care. I know they're just trolls, but
they live sad existences.
My dog likes to attack me here and there. So if you see me with like marks on the street, I am not being like abused. I just have a vicious dog sometimes.
Yeah. All right. Appreciate you sharing that part. One quick thing before I move to Sean and a couple other things. If we give a few more moments, we might have a surprise guest on here too. Many people might know him for a couple famous things he's had to say in the past, but still, he's going to take a few
I
minutes
know.
to get himself ready. But at the same time, Sean, what are some things you're enjoying lately, and maybe one thing that absolutely grinds your gears?
I actually got a couple, and two of them are related to each other. For one, similar to what Joe said, kind of getting back into the running. I've been like Chris Maz, I know you have been too, getting just back in the gym, man, getting kind of just jacked, feeling good. I'm pushing 40, man. I'm 37, almost going to be 38, and around Thanksgiving time. So just trying to get in good shape. I've had, as Chris knows, and actually Joe, I mentioned to you too, I've had certain people around me dealing with a bunch of different pretty serious health issues, and it kind of just reinvigorates you to be eating healthy and trying to do everything that you can to just make sure that your body's healthy and good and everything, so you can live a long life and be there for the people that rely on you, family and friends and whatnot. So that's one thing I'm really pumped about. And then I guess on the grind my gear side, just something that I had to deal with again today, flying up from Atlanta earlier this morning to Buffalo. I'm actually in Buffalo right now at the parents' house in Depew, as we called it. I really hate when you're on an airplane and people try to like get off the plane like before you. It's like, this is not a hard system. The first row goes, the other side goes, second, third. That's how you get off a plane. And I hate the people that like try to deboard and just try to like shoot past you. Like, it makes me want to just punch them in the face, like real bad. And I hate those people, man.
I don't fly often, but man,
yeah, it's just really, it irks me. It's just rude. It's a rude thing to do. Like today, I happened to be traveling with somebody that needed extra help, to get on and off the plane. So I was actually able to literally, because I was the first person on the plane with him. So he needed extra time to get seated. But yeah, man, that's just rude. Like, just PSA, just be a good human being. You're not like you're gonna be walking with the same people that got off like ahead of you and behind you as you were waiting for your bag. Is it really that big of a deal? You still got to wait at the baggage claim. Let's just be polite. That's all.
Yeah, easy one right there. Easy one. Yeah. One thing I've really enjoyed lately, and this actually just came out yesterday. So, close friend of the show. His name's Mark Mum. He also wrote the theme to our show, if you ever listen on the audio side. So he and Mark Mum and Ricky Needham, they wrote the theme of the show. He's also been a guest on the show way back when we started too. But one thing I've really enjoyed, I want to make sure I give him a shout out on this too. He wrote and released a single. It's called Donna Marie, in dedication to his mom. So he's been grinding away trying to write and perfect this. He's written it with utmost passion and care. I want to just give him some shout out and props, because I'm sure that was not an easy song to write, because his mom passed away when he was real young in high school. And then yesterday was the anniversary of her death after a number of years. I know, Mark, we're always rooting for you in any aspect that we can at any point in time. So I really appreciate that you were able to have that song released for everybody. And again, it was also outstanding. So again, if you want to find the song, you can support him on his Bandcamp website. The song is called Donna Marie, Donna, Marie, Marie. So again, outstanding work done by my buddy Mark. So yes, and also thank you for all you did for the show here too. But one thing that has really been grinding my gears lately are the people that absolutely say they love summer. I want to say to you, GTFO. And if you think that going outside when it's 100 degrees plus all the time is comfortable, I think you are an outright liar. Outrageous, because Sunday I was doing yard work outside for about 3 hours the other day on Sunday. Brutal, hot. I was drenched in sweat, cutting the grass, taking care of all the yard work, things like that. It just had to get done, obviously. But I'm just going to say it right out. Winter's elite. I don't care what anybody says. He says, yes, I said it. I know Richmond winters aren't exactly on Buffalo winters, but again, we were born and raised in Buffalo, so we know what that's like. I mean, I was jealous, truly jealous. This is the snowstorm that caused Sean to move to Florida. I was jealous of all the snow that happened there, because I don't know. I just love it. I love the fact that you can actually like stay inside. You could be cozy. Flannels are great. And not for all you fall lovers here. I mean, And for anybody that still thinks pumpkin is a great flavor, I also call you a liar. I think pumpkin sucks. It is crappy. It just has a bad aftertaste. There's a reason why it is just a bad vegetable. Football still played in the winter. Arguably the best games played in the winter. Spring, you have pollen, you have rain all the time. Unless you're a florist, no one enjoys pollen ever. Tell me somebody who actually does. You're wrong. And also, the people that also are enjoying summer and enjoy the heat, they're the same ones that are staying inside and in the air conditioning all day, or they're the ones refusing to eat at restaurants with outdoor seating available to them. So also another big thing on this, there are no bugs in the winter. So all these mosquitoes, all the people that have issues with bees, things like that. Yes, that's what's been grinding my gear lately. All the people that say, oh, I love summer and all this super hot, warm weather here. And I wanted to give an honorable mention, since we've been on the topic of fitness here. I wanted to give an honorable mention to any time that you have to go to the gym and you have to do leg day. And now it's arguably the most necessary evil thing you have to do to your body if you're working out consistently. But people being able to sit down, or you yourself being able to have to sit down, just be able to stand up, go down a flight of stairs. I mean, that's kind of how I've been able to just see, as far as just getting into the gym every day. I've gotten to the point where I don't want to just do a leg day. I will literally do a leg exercise, so I don't have to dedicate a full day to leg day anymore. So those are the things that have been grinding my gears too.
I like it. I do it every day. Every day. You don't have to do a leg day. You just do like every day for 20 minutes.
This is true.
I like when Chris comes to the gym with me in Richmond. It's fun.
Hey, it's a good time. Hey, when you're able to hit up the Planet Fitness every now and then, especially when you got those, what's the thing that you've gotten us using? That
massage.
The hydro massage table.
Yeah. Shout out to Planet Fitness real quick. We love hydro massage.
We are not endorsed by Planet Fitness. Joe, what was another thought?
Okay. Now I actually have something that grinds my gears.
Yes. Let's let it rip. Let it rip.
Okay. So I moved to West Seneca about a year ago. And I left Catalyst Fitness for LA Fitness because it was close to my new house. So I go in the first day.
Mr. Winter. Yep. Anyway, yeah.
I go in the first day, and this lady's like, "Oh, I see you're new. First time here. You want free personal training evaluation?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, sure. Free. Yeah, sure." So finish my workout, go to the free personal training evaluation, get hustled. Absolutely hustled. And like, this lady would not take no for an answer. And and I signed up for 6 months of personal training. It was like $200 a month. I'm like, I can't afford this. What do you think I am? Cannot afford it. So I also had to sign a legal binding contract with LA Fitness to do this. So then I get home and I'm like, what the hell did I just do? So I call the customer service line and I'm like, I need to cancel this right now. I'm going to go bankrupt. I can't afford to spend. I got to pay my bills. I don't need $200 of shitty personal training. Absolutely not. So long story short, I change my bank account. So I'd never go back because I can't show my face around there again. And I kid you not, I get at least 3 phone calls a week from LA Fitness asking to update my bank account information so they can charge me after I canceled everything. Like, get out of here. That grinds my gears. Stop calling me.
Yeah.
It's from a different number every time. Every single time.
Pushy gym membership people.
Yeah.
Yes, I can fully agree with that too.
I got a quick sub one for you, Joe. Sub deer story. Same type of thing. I don't think it might have been LA Fitness. I was down in St. Petersburg at the time in Florida. And I had some kind of an issue, a billing issue, that they sent it to collections. Mind you, I work in collections. So you're never going to get me on collections ever. I know more than them. I just do. So I ended up, it was something that I literally had paid off. And then I proceeded to get phone calls or text messages like bi-weekly for like a year. I'm like, yo, like I literally paid this. Like, stop calling me. And I did. And I literally had paid it. And I had proof. And I sent an email. I forwarded them with the confirmation that I paid it. And they still proceeded to call me for like a year after that. Like, you guys just got to get your together, man. Like,
Yeah. So got a couple questions in the Q&A. So our guest is logging in now. So one I wanted to show right here from Hunter. He's asking, how likely is a Byram trade? I mean, at this point, if they're really trying to upgrade the top six, I mean, you have to think it's better than 50-50 at this point in time. I mean,
better be.
That's their only chance of being able to like improve that top six. I mean, just kind of getting back on the topic of Sabres after we had our grind my gears moment here, but still, I mean, Joe, would you also say it's better than 50-50?
I give it 60-40. He's gone.
What I was thinking too, 60-40.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that talk of an offer sheet today was kind of, all right, why don't you hurry up on this decision or else we'll kind of force your hand. They definitely don't want an offer sheet. Like, say, Calgary. That's who we've been talking about today. Calgary, bonus-laden contract, like 3-year deal, walk them to UFA, all signing bonuses. They're not going to want to pay that. Like, walk them to UFA and pay out all those signing bonuses. And it's going to be a bad look if you're just – because you've been telling all these fans, oh, we don't have an internal cap. Oh, we have every resource possible. Terry gives us everything to win. That's a bad look, especially if Adams is going to talk tomorrow to the media and he regurgitates that same stuff that he does every single press conference, and then the actions, if an offer sheet does come in, although I think unrealistic, it'd be a bad look. So I think I would imagine by the end, if Byram is still a Sabre a week from today, I think he'll be on the team opening night, but I think he's going to get moved. There's going to be some urgency there and some interest too. All of the high-end defensemen are gone.
I think ultimately Kevin Adams will like the fact that he'll be going to the Western Conference if it's any of those teams out there. So here's another one, kind of like related to that too, from Alex Woods. What would a trade look like for Byram with a team like Vancouver and Calgary, like what they have as far as remaining assets go? So, I mean,
Joe could talk about that. I mean, Joe touched on the Calgary side of it a little bit earlier. If you want to
talk Calgary.
Yeah, talking Calgary. And then Vancouver, I know, would be another potential choice because I like some people think that the Pettersson deal is not entirely dead. I mean, he would ultimately have to waive his no movement clause to come here, but at the same time, one of his best friends is Rasmus Dahlin. That could be an easy bargaining chip there. So, Joe,
if they've been in conversations about that, granted that deadline is now passed, it's like I don't think that's going to hang it up. You know what I mean? He's going to probably be willing to waive it at that point. So it's like, hey, Kevin, don't worry about the fact that the deadline is passed. He's willing to come to Buffalo.
We'll start with Vancouver since that's where we kind of left off.
Before we do that, Joe, we have a guest we'd like to add to the stage here to add a little bit more fuel to the fire of the day. Welcome to the show, Dwayne. Dwayne of Two Goalies, One Mic. Welcome. So we're talking about a couple things we had in our Q&A section here, talking about trades for Byram that could happen, essentially, whether he went to Vancouver or Calgary. And then we were also just backing up a little bit, just things that are just, grinding our gears beyond just what this team likes to give us, just feeling some hate overall.
Oh, yeah, it's always fun to have those conversations. Better late than never, right, guys? It's been I've actually been up since like 3:30 this morning.
You were able to kind of almost break some news there. We talked about
I had to respect. I had inside knowledge of the Alex Lyon signing. I actually knew at like noon yesterday that they were gonna sign him. Tampering, right?
Yeah, nice.
Tampering, such a joke. It's such a joke. And I knew I probably wasn't gonna be able to, say anything about it yesterday because you're like a full 24 hours out. But I was hoping that I'd be able to break it. But the person I was going through, his source, said, and I quote, "Let it just happen naturally." The news break naturally, meaning we get to let guys like Elliot Friedman, who break everything, break the news, rather than some little podcaster from Buffalo, New York. which would have done a lot more for us than it did for Elliott. It's just whatever to him.
Dude,
But
he can let
no,
you do that.
it's I like the deal. I think if you guys think back to 2022, 2023, Alex Lyon was a big reason why they didn't make the playoffs.
We were just talking about that. He
Yeah.
stonewalled us.
Yep, 2-1. I think it was like April 6th. I want to say it was. He started the majority of the games in the home stretch of the Panthers, the end of the Panthers season, and Buffalo ended up missing by 1 point, unfortunately, and that game obviously was huge, not winning that game, or even getting a point in that game. A point would have mattered. But it was very you like to call days like today free agent frenzy, more like free agency snooze fest, or I don't even know, man. That was
free agency laugher.
That was just like, and mind you, I was up early because I was hoping that I would he told me he would message me really early in the morning to give me confirmation. Fell asleep on the couch. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go from the couch to the bed because I woke up on the couch and I just couldn't fall back asleep, so I just laid there, just waiting to get a message that just eventually obviously never came. But I the whole time, honestly, when we finally got the news, I was like, let's just out of it, just completely out of it. I was living off ultra white monsters here.
Hey, just supporting the brand right there. But
yes.
Circling it back to Joe, I want to make sure you had your time to kind of talk about Vancouver. And Dwayne, feel free to chime in on this as well. We had a question posed. Again, I'll put it back on the screen. What would a trade look like for Byram with a team like Vancouver and Calgary? We talked a little bit about Calgary. I even mentioned a little bit that the Pettersson deal may not necessarily be dead, despite the fact that the no trade clause may have kicked in today. But Joe, what are some initial takeaways you had from this? And then I'll let Dwayne have a handle on it as well.
Now I look at Vancouver's roster here. I don't think it makes sense at all anymore. If Vancouver is going to trade Pettersson, he would have been traded a long time ago. It seems like that's not something that they're totally interested in him. And if they were going to trade him, they would have traded him before that no move kicked in because they would get maximum value. So I'm looking because we got to look at trade protection. The only couple players in their forward group that don't have any trade protection are Philip Hedl and Nils Hoglander. And I don't know about you guys, but that doesn't really do it for me.
Not exactly a sexy package.
Yeah. I don't really see it with Vancouver. I know that there's rumors that they kind of view Byram as like a contingency plan if Quinn Hughes wants to leave, but I don't really see it. But with Calgary, this makes sense. I know Weegar plays the left side, but he's a right-handed shot. They're going to lose Rasmus Andersson more likely than not. I don't think Andersson would come here, but in theory, your top pair would be Byram and Weegar. They just locked up Kevin Ball to pretty big money. He'd be your second pair lefty, and then you got Jake Bean, Joel Hanley there too. So I think Calgary makes a lot of sense. It fits what Byram's looking for. He wants to be on a power play unit, which he's not getting either first or second unit here, and he'd be a top pairing guy with the Flames. And they've got this abundance of forwards. They just locked up Matt Coronado. I don't think that he would be in a trade, but Igor Sharangovich, Landy Ruff connection. He has a 10-team no-trade list, but he's locked up until 2030, coming off of a so-so year. They just got Joel Farabee. On the topic of connections, I believe he played for the Buffalo Junior Sabres at one point. I don't know if there was a crossover with Kevin Adams at all, but that's something. Blake Coleman, Michael Backlund, they have trade protection. I wouldn't count on that. And then the name that interests me is Connor Zary and Martin Pospisil. Pospisil, hard to play against, can play center or both wings. He's interesting. And then Connor Zary can play center or left wing, 23 years old. We were talking earlier, he was in the Jack Eichel trade rumors back when that was a thing. He had a pretty devastating injury last year. He might have been injured for a little bit of this year too. He was a name that I was kind of looking at with the Dylan Cousins trade rumors too.
Mm-hmm.
If it's Calgary, I think that Zari would be in the package. In that age group that they're kind of looking at, 23, going to be 24, makes a little sense. And I think Calgary is the team to watch here.
Interesting. Dwayne, any takeaways from that as well?
I mean, I've always been favorable to Calgary's, some of the play. I like, I know he's got trade protection now, but I was always a huge Blake Coleman fan, even going back to when he was with Tampa. I know, like, it's a long shot that you'd have to get Terry, like, himself to call Blake Coleman and his agent, to try and convince him to come to Buffalo possibly. But I was always a big fan of him. I always thought he was a really good two-way forward. Zari, like Joe mentioned, like another really good option. You have the Buffalo connections if you're looking at defensemen with Mackenzie Weegar and Craig Rivet. It's his cousin. I mean, I think Craig has kind of been open about that, nonchalantly saying, like, I don't think he would ever want to come to Buffalo given the situation here. But again, there's a lot to like about some of the available players with Calgary. Actually, I'm looking at like their roster right now, like Joe mentioned, Coronado, but like you go down that list of potential available players. You already brought up Zari. I mean, I'm really looking for somebody that's going to slide into that top six, and I think that might be the only forward that really like jumps out at me would probably be him. I mean, Ryan Lomberg doesn't have trade protection, but I mean, he's not worth it. I mean, even given the experience. You mentioned Joel Farabee, had 19 points this past season in 50 games. Did you guys mention did they re-sign? Yeah, they just signed Coronado. He signed through 2000. Yep. He's signed through 2033. I mean, yeah, he's at the top of that list for sure. Yeah, man, I like. There's a lot to like about some of the available players from Calgary, but if you're Kevin Adams and you're looking to swing a Bowen Byram trade, I think your best way to go about it is look at the RFA market. You know what I mean? The guys that again are probably in the age bracket of like 21 to 24 years old. Kind of like what you did with Casey Middlestat to get Bowen Byram. Right. I think that's the type of trade you have to make this team better. To find a guy like Casey Middlestat per se, but obviously his career hasn't gone the way we probably all thought it would have went after that trade. Casey was on the up and up. Given the increased responsibility, as I thought I had him penciled in easily as a second line center in that trade. I think most people did, and just didn't work out that way. But yeah, I think that's the type of trade you need to make if you are trading Bowen Byram. On the flip side of that, I mean, I'm also not trying to trade Bowen Byram just to get a body in here. Like I heard on the radio today, like, if you got to swallow Kevin Adams got to swallow his pride and make a trade for Bowen Byram for Brian Rust, you do it. Like, no, you don't. You don't. Like, you're not getting that value back.
We were talking about the same thing earlier. I mean,
I like Brian Rust, but like on a good team, and Pittsburgh wasn't a good team. Right. On a good team, Brian Rust is on a third line. Right. He's a third line player. Yeah, he's a top 6 guy in Buffalo because it's Buffalo. But on a good team, name any playoff team, he is a third line winger, and his numbers are really inflated by obviously riding shotgun to Crosby. I'm not sure if he played on that first power play unit at all. If he did, you had guys like Malkin and Carlson on that unit. I'm not taking it. He's been very consistent, but he's just not to me worth trading Bowen Byram unless you're getting more back. But yeah. I don't think you just trade Bowen Byram just to get a body in here. Like, at that point, I would even venture – I hate to say it, but that's not a bad top 2 pairings. If the price is right for Bowen Byram, it's not bad. I don't know what the market's going to call for him, on maybe like a bridge deal. but it's really not a bad top 2 pair defenseman.
Yeah.
Like, it really isn't, man.
Yeah, another one in the comment section here from Hunter. Zari would be awesome in a Calgary trade. Talking about Vegas as well. Is it crazy to expect Dorofeyev to? He thinks it'd be a perfect fit to replace JJ. No, I'm not entirely familiar with Dorofeyev. I mean, anybody here familiar with how he would be as far as a fit for the Sabres?
I don't think Vegas is I don't think Vegas can fit Byram in from a cap perspective.
I was going to say they just put
as it is.
Just put Pietrangelo on long-term injured reserve, right? So, I mean, and being able to fit in Marner now with his $12 million.
Yeah, they got nothing.
Yeah,
Unless
I like to look at
the league
I
minimum.
think LA. What was the other? Oh, and was it St. Louis and LA? Were the other two teams we talked about before?
Right. Yeah, those are the other two. Both the other Western Conference teams.
LA signed Dumoulin and CC today.
Yeah.
So I don't know what their cap situation is looking like, but I don't think Byram's much of a need. Columbus.
Did Gavrikov sign somewhere yet? Did he go to the Rangers?
Yeah, he went to the Rangers. Yep.
Yeah.
So and they just swung the deal for Sean Morrow.
So that went through too
with Keandre Miller.
And they gave Miller some term in dollars at this point now, right?
Yeah. Yep. I'm looking. Like I said, we have Jeff, one of our graphic guys. He put together. Well, I sent him the information, but each individual team broken down by who. No, now again, some of this needs to be updated. Given the past 24 hours, but each individual team players don't have trade protection. I'm just trying to go through here and see who really jumps out at me. RFA wise, you talked about, LA. I mean, they have a lot of young talent there too. Guys that don't have.
Byfield's who I want.
We talked about Byfield earlier.
I love Quentin Byfield. I was Quentin Byfield over Alexis Lafreniere that year. I remember I went on a Vancouver podcast. I forget the name of it. It's Area 51 podcast or whatever. And I got into a heated argument with one guy about Lafreniere and Byfield. I'm like, dude, like Byfield just has he's just like a poor. I don't want to say like a poor man's Eric Lindros, but look at his build, his size, his skill set. Like the guy can just do everything.
230.
Yeah, dude. He came into the league a man child. You know what I mean? Like he was built to play in the NHL. And I said, you are crazy if you think that Quentin Byfield isn't going to end up being the better player here. I just always called it. And it's turned out so far to be true in my opinion. It's been close, but I think they've gone about it the right way with Byfield and his development. They had Lafreniere was kind of thrown into it as a first overall pick with New York, and I think personally it just wasn't. He probably wasn't a guy who was ready for the NHL right out of the gate.
Yeah. So to kind of circle things back again, just kind of like the greater conversation. So thanks for that input on Byfield, by the way, Dwayne. We've lamented a bit. We're already over 90 minutes deep on this. Thanks for everybody for continuing to tune in. But just kind of get out in some like parting thoughts on this before we trudge into day 2 of free agency for what's left out there. But Joe, Sean, Dwayne, any remaining thoughts as we just kind of put a bow on the not only end of this episode, but on day 1 of NHL free agency as a whole? Joe, I'll go to you first.
Oh man, felt like a funeral today. Honestly.
Yeah, you were not wrong.
I don't know, like just make me feel numb. Like I don't want to feel angry. I just want to feel indifferent. Is that too much to ask? I don't know. Yeah, man, I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe, did you say something about Holloway today? Did I see you post a potential trade?
Yeah. I think Alex Woods for Byram is St. Louis a better suitor. Yeah, Holloway. Yeah,
Holloway, maybe. I saw Holloway got a new agent. I want to say a couple of weeks ago.
Telltale sign.
Maybe Byram got a new agent too. So if they don't want to pay Holloway and they need the defense, I don't know. But if you connect the dots, it might make a little bit of sense. But
I'm a big Gabriel Velarde guy too.
He's on the Kings, right?
No, out of Winnipeg. Just he's a guy. I mean, they have a lot of money tied up in Connor Hellebuck. I think they have a lot of UFAs that they got to sign, or RFAs they got to bring back too. Another guy that doesn't have trade protection, Ix Alafalo, Buffalo, Buffalo, Western New York product.
From Eden, right? Eden?
Yep. He's actually probably going to be playing FHL here in the next couple of weeks down at Harbor Center.
Excellent.
For anybody who wants to come check him out.
Hey, yeah, nice little plug there. Definitely check out the Fatty Hockey League, folks, if you're on the Buffalo, Western New York area.
Yeah, we play not this week, but obviously with the holiday. But Wednesday nights, you see the best of the best when it comes to youth hockey from junior up to D1. We had a kid that just got drafted by Vancouver, and Matt Lansing, another couple kids that got invited to NHL camps. It's really good hockey. Speaking
of the Fatty Hockey League again, a Sabres draft pick of the Fatty Hockey League was
Geary.
Geary. Yeah.
Yep, Geary. Yeah. He's there. He's at Sabres camp.
Yep.
He's an alumni. And it's a legit league, man. Not to sidetrack, but we've had Darlene play in the league before. Patrick Kane, played there for years. Gergenson's played every single year he was in Buffalo, just about. You know what I mean? He was there. He played every single summer.
That's awesome.
It's a really it's like our version of the beauty league, essentially, without all the press and the social media highlights.
Yeah.
Question just
came
in.
A couple more comments, and then we'll let Sean take away a few more parting thoughts. But first one from Cody: any updates about Murray and Rochester? And then another one from Hunter: obviously want to make the playoffs. Well, we're right there with you. McKenna would be awesome, but the lottery is a major risk. Velarde or Roslovic would be nice. But
Roslovic, we haven't really talked about. I mean, he'd be good. I mean, I remember when he was available previous. Wasn't he on? Columbus
last year. Columbus.
Well, I'm saying like years ago. Wasn't he on Columbus at one point?
He was in the line day trade.
There you go. Yeah. So a Yarmo connection still.
Yeah, I mean, any of those guys would be an upgrade to the top six as far as scoring winger or center would be great.
Mm-hmm.
I just do have one quick little plug here. So we have about 1,700 people live right now.
Yep.
I got to do a quick plug for Otis.
Yes, our family dog. Yes. So
here's I don't know if you guys can see the picture here. There's Otis. He's a nice chug mix.
So that would be a Chihuahua pug mix there, folks.
He's looking for a home. He's looking for a home. Currently resides in Depew, New York. And if anybody's interested or looking for a great pet, he's a good snuggler. I'm sure he'll be sleeping probably at the foot of my bed tonight whenever I'm here.
And it's not for anything bad. Our parents are retired and they want to
travel. They want to visit us.
Really, we would give full endorsements that Otis is indeed a very good boy. So,
yeah, if anybody's interested or knows anybody who might be looking for a dog, Otis is not old. He's probably about maybe 9 years old or so.
And he's a little guy. He's a little guy, so he's got some good life in him still, and pretty spry at this point. He's like Sean was saying, he's all he wants to do is sit around and snuggle. He's a kind of a couch potato for the most part, and if you got a fenced-in yard, you're all set.
Yep.
So had to do a quick plug for Otis there, but yeah, Sean, any other thoughts? There we go.
That's Dwayne. Well, I was going to say, Dwayne.
Yeah, this is a big plug for this one.
And yes, also, Dwayne, I don't know what the schedule is for coverage at the practice, but I'm here in town, so say whatever you want to say.
You're muted, Dwayne. Oh, hold on. Try again.
Am I good now?
Yeah, there you go.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna try and get down there tomorrow. I have physical therapy in the morning for my leg, and then possibly after. I'm not sure what time the skate starts at, but I was holding this up because as you know, I'm sure Sean, you had a good friend from high school, Will Leach.
Yeah, Derek Kramer brought this up last week for us. Yeah.
And how long are you in town for, Sean?
Till Thursday. I probably am gonna go to the scrimmage that there's no players for. And then,
I was texting Wade about possibly getting the group together if you're interested.
Cool. I'll be here till Thursday midday.
But I just want to give Will a shout out. That was the shirt that they made from 26 shirts. Obviously, is incurable brain cancer, but a according to what I've heard, he's doing really well right now. Got to ring the bell at Roswell, so a couple clicks for him. Just wish him well for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. I had to get that good plug in for him, and I think I don't recall if it would happened already or if it's coming up. I do believe it's coming up. I think July 10th. Derek Kramer said they're doing the benefit for him. I think it's at Mr. Goodbar.
I know he just had a benefit.
I think it was last week.
Past Saturday.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Okay, yeah. Pretty sure unless there's a second benefit plan that I didn't know about. I missed it because I don't ever go on Facebook, and it was mostly promoted on Facebook.
There you go.
I had no clue that it was going down, but hopefully I get those guys together. Hopefully soon. But just wanted to give him a shout out, and I'll let you guys finish your final thoughts.
Of course. But yeah, for all those who tuned in today, obviously we hope day 2 gives a little bit more of a sliver of hope for the Buffalo Sabres as they are starting off on what was going to look like a true desert of an offseason here, because again, the top 6 scoring after JJ has vacated to Utah is very much needed still at this point in time. And to count on Jack Quinn to be able to replace that scoring is leaving a whole lot left to be desired. So, hey, if you say your prayers at night, maybe you say some for Nikolai Ehlers to think a quiet market is the Buffalo market compared to, say, a Canadian hockey market. But at the same point in time, hey, we hope that maybe an epic trade will go down, anything at this point in time. Dwayne, you look like you had one more thought.
I do. What is Vegas's cap situation right now, even with Pietrangelo go on long-term LTIR?
Joe, do you have that up at this point?
I do not, but I checked.
I gotta imagine they're close to being up against it now that they brought in Marner at $12 million.
Like $1 million, and they need to sign like 3 more guys.
Because unless they've already signed him, one name that jumped out at me was sorry, I'm losing it. Pavel Dorofeyev. Sorry if I butchered that.
No, you're good.
Third, did I cut out? We're good?
No, you're good. Dorofeyev.
Dorofeyev, yeah. 35 goals this past season, was it? Am I reading that right?
Yep. Oh, there we go. Thanks for that, Joe. Pulling up Puckpedia right here. Vegas is in the hole.
You want to talk about offer sheets? There's a guy you can go after. I mean, they have Brett Howden too. He has no protection. He 23 goals this past season with 40 points. Again, I don't know if anything went down, outside of the big Marner, obviously the trade, but in terms of signing their RFAs, but Dorofeyev, a 35 goal scorer last season, and then you have guys like Brett Howden who no trade protection. Pardon?
Yeah, he was making 1.8.
He's making 1.8, and I mean, you want to talk about offer sheets? I don't know what that would cost you or what. We're right around like the 7 million cap hit range, right? Like that's pretty much what we can afford in terms of what the assets we have, right? We can't go really above that 7 million range.
Yeah,
I mean they can't afford it. They can't afford it. They're $7 million in the hole.
Yeah, I mean, you got to prey on that weakness at the moment. I mean, considering we of all teams would like to be able to prey on anything Vegas has at this point in time.
I would take Brett Howden in a heartbeat.
Yeah, so a lot of options they can really go with at this point in time, but at the same time, let's hope for not to be cliche with the Google Dolls at this point, but let's hope for better days starting tomorrow. With that being said, thanks to y'all for tuning in. Let's go Buffalo.
Go Sabres.
Go Buffalo.